Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitter for the WWE Fastlane Preview and predictions. I am here with another esteemed colleague. Last time, 2 weeks ago for AEW Revolution, I was joined by the titular character, Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily. I was joined by Alex himself, and this time I am joined by his protege, his tag team partner on Quizlemania, his tag team partner in the wrestling journalist area, and a person that I admire very much because he works in school. He works on WrestleTalks.com's website and Wrestle Talks YouTube channel, as well as Wrestling Daily. He is the one, the only Louis Dangoor, aka Mr. Good Money.
I like that intro. I very much like that intro. You've made me sound significantly busier than I am, but no, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to breaking down this Fastlane card, trying to make some sense of it with you, because I think we need to try and make some sense of whatever's going to be going on Sunday night.
But like I'm glad to have you on because, you know, I'm Mr. True Heel Heat, but you get the real True Heel Heat, sir. Like you, anytime you have a take, a prediction, an opinion, it always gets heat from the wrestling community, from the people on Wrestling Daily, Wrestle Talk. So why is it that you are one of the biggest heels in wrestling media?
Am I probably not intentionally? That's the worst thing. I just have some out there opinions and takes, like nothing too controversial, but what I do seem to say seems to really rile people up, like the good money stuff, anything really. People just don't seem to agree with me, but you know what? That's what we need in wrestling media. As long as you do it in a respectful and polite manner, a good bit of discourse and disagreement sometimes, there's nothing wrong with that.
And you do it in an entertaining way as well. So that's awesome.
You gotta be a bit entertaining, don't you? You gotta bring in that good money, SP3. You gotta bring in the good money.
Get your Louis Dangoor good money wallets coming soon to WrestleShop. So yes, we're going to be talking about WWE Fastlane. If you're watching on YouTube right now, drop us a like. Leave your comments in the live chat. You guys are the most important part of this show. We want to hear your thoughts on WWE Fastlane, your predictions. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, drop us a like, a heart emoji, a laugh emoji. If you're angry about Fastlane, let us know by an angry emoji. And of course, tag your friends. Let's get engagement, because if you guys are engaged in this video, more people will see it. So, Louis, we're going to get right to it. You created this good money gimmick off of this particular match because you said you were willing to put good money that it would be Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. But no, it is the main event for WWE Fastlane. We also know that Edge or Jey Uso will be the special guest enforcer for this matchup. So there's a lot riding on this. The winner of this matchup will go on as the WWE Universal Champion to verse Edge at WrestleMania 37. But this has really been kind of the really most interesting and most compelling storyline going into Fastlane. I'll be honest off the bat with you, Louis, and the people watching. I'm not that interested in this pay-per-view. This feels like a detour on the road to WrestleMania, but this match I am very much looking forward to. So who do you think wins, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship, Louis?
So before I give my prediction, I did say initially, I can't remember the exact wording. I don't think it was. I'm like, I bet good money it's going to be Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. I think I said I don't think it's going to be Roman Reigns and Edge. So, if Daniel Bryan gets added to the WrestleMania match, am I correct?
I mean, you're partly correct, but I did hear Alex say that you didn't stand by that opinion. So you shouldn't get any credit for it at all. But we can leave it up to the comments. Leave it up to everybody in the comments, live chat, YouTube, Facebook. Let us know if Louis deserves credit if Daniel Bryan is inserted into the WrestleMania Universal Championship match.
Well, I think Roman Reigns is going to retain, but maybe Edge will screw Daniel Bryan somehow in terms of because I think he's going to beat Jey Uso tonight. I can't see him losing. So I think he's going to be the special guest enforcer, and I think he might accidentally screw Bryan, or Bryan might disagree with something he's done, and then that's how you add Bryan to the triple threat match, to the Universal title match, and make it a triple threat match. I'd be quite interested in Bryan, Edge, and Roman at WrestleMania. I think that would be just as good as a straight singles. So yeah, I'd be well on board with that. But I do think Roman Reigns retains. I can't see him losing. You could always do like a DQ, but I still can't see that. I think Roman Reigns retains.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Roman Reigns is going to take the victory here. And if this is going to be anything close to the quality we got in 2015, I know this is going to be a great match. Mind you, I didn't even ask you who you think was going to be the special enforcer, because it's kind of foregone conclusion that Edge is going to win tonight on
Jey Uso, I don't think has won one match in 2020. I might be wrong, but I don't think he has. So I cannot see him beating the Royal Rumble match winner.
And the first time in a decade, Edge is going to be on SmackDown.
If he beats, I'm willing to bet good money. See, not a controversial take this time. No. I'm willing to bet good money that he doesn't beat Edge tonight. I think Edge wins. I can't see it. Can't see it any other way.
So we got Luis Daniel Carberlo. Sierra. This will end up as Roman Reigns retaining the title and will be a triple threat match. Daniel Bryan versus Edge versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. We're kind of seeing like we're all seeing that in the forefront. But what's been your opinion, Louis, on Edge's character? Because I was talking to Rick Ucchino on Smack Talk following SmackDown last week, and he wasn't really feeling Edge's promo, kind of belittling Daniel Bryan for the way he got this title shot. When you remember that Edge is the ultimate opportunist, he's the rated R superstar, and he's done way worse things to get title shots. So for him to be talking down to Daniel Bryan or saying Daniel Bryan cheated in any way or like got a loophole into this, it seems ridiculous. Also, Jeremy Lambert on The Distraction yesterday also kind of said the same thing, that Edge doesn't come off as likable. So do you like Edge in this story, or what has been your opinion of the direction that Edge has taken in this whole storyline?
It's difficult because I will always pop for seeing Edge because it's cool. Like, it's Edge, he's back, and it's always going to be cool to see. And I feel quite sorry for him in terms of the fact that he came back and then his first WrestleMania was with no fans, and then he got injured in that very good match with Randy Orton, and then sort of things have spiraled for him. But I would agree with Jeremy. I don't think he's coming across very likable, and his promo doesn't make much sense. And neither did Roman Reigns, to be fair. After he picked Roman at Elimination Chamber, he was kind of like, Roman was like, why did you pick me? You shouldn't have done that. Whereas beforehand, he was kind of trying to coax him into picking him, so it didn't make sense. And then Edge sort of like, he was like, I've won the Rumble, so why should I should get the next title shot? But that's not what it is. Like, you don't get the next title shot. You just get the title shot at WrestleMania. That's the only thing that's confirmed. So Daniel Bryan's not doing anything wrong. He really hasn't done anything like the Edge. As you say, Edge has done a lot worse. So he is coming across just a bit whiny and moany at the moment. But I will always pop for seeing Edge, and I think this is probably Edge and Roman, or the triple threat is the biggest match WWE could book with active wrestlers right now. And on a WrestleMania card that's really like lacking star power, I think this does at least feel like a match that has some star power behind it, has some big names. And I hope that once we get out of Fastlane and into WrestleMania, which I'm just going to call Roadblock, because it should be called Roadblock, because it is just a roadblock. Like, it's like a speed bump that it's just like you going nicely and you haven't seen it coming, and it's just slowed you down, because this is such an annoying show. But yeah, I Edge for me, not very likable at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been making Edge look good. The line on SmackDown was nice. You're better than this, but you're not better than me. That was cool. But What gave Edge the right to say that you're better than this? Like, what did Daniel Bryan do that he is better than? He complained about getting cheated or getting passed over by two guys who had a total of like one match in 3 months. Like, Daniel Bryan is the most likable person in this storyline. So I definitely understand where, you, Jeremy, and the rest are coming from as far as, viewing of Edge.
Yeah, that's why I'd book it as a triple threat, because I think you can have Edge in that tweener role where he's probably best as a heel. So you have him in that tweener role. You have Roman as the heel and Bryan as the face. I think that works best. So yeah, I think Bryan will always be likable. Like, his promos have been great. And the thing is, while I might disagree with the content of the promos, Roman, Edge, and Bryan are still some of the best promos in WWE right now. So at least they're like, the content isn't great, but the way it's being delivered is engaging and good. Yeah. And I still think that this is the hottest thing in WWE right now, and has the main event night too. But I'm not sure whether that's an indictment of WWE and the storylines there, or like praise of this storyline, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Also, another option that I think it was Jeremy or Joe on the Detraction brought up. What if they did Edge versus Bryan on night 1, and then the winner versus Roman on night 2?
I like that, but it does devalue the Royal Rumble. Like, why should Edge have to? I actually think a better thing to do is Sheamus and Drew night 1, and then Drew and Bobby night 2. Like, that's what I'd do, because I think Edge has Edge has won his chance to main event WrestleMania. So if you want to keep the, like, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you could have like Roman and Edge on night 2 and Roman and Daniel on night 1, or Edge and Daniel on night 1 where the winner faces Roman. Or I'm not sure how you do it, but I think that sort of night 1, night 2 thing could be a good way, where the cards are kind of flat at the moment, like New Japan have done it. But if I was going to do the whole night 1, night 2 thing, it would be Sheamus and Drew night 1. Because we've all said that's warrants a WrestleMania spot, because the feud's been great, or matches have been great anyway. And then, like, Drew hasn't, like, they kind of just announced the match, which I get why they did it, because tickets going on sale. But I think that it would have been more beneficial to have Drew win a match, whether that be at Fastlane or WrestleMania, and then have him have that babyface momentum of having to win a match on night 1 to progress to the match on night 2. That's probably what I would have done.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better to me. We got Rick Ucchino in the Facebook comments saying, Edge could lose tonight. Don't forget that Bianca, the Royal Rumble winner, lost to Tamina recently. Yes, I think that was wasn't it?
Please don't bring that up, please.
Scarred. We're scarred for life. Victor Nash says triple threat Edge versus Roman versus Daniel. We got John Elite on YouTube saying, sup guys, what's going on, John? But we got to talk about more matches, and let's talk about the match you just brought up, Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, after 2 really good matches on WWE Raw. I think the first one was definitely a banger for sure. The second one with them knocking steps, the finish was a little bit off, but definitely a good match. And now we get the third match at Fastlane. Who wins? Drew versus Sheamus 3. We had 6 months worth of buildup, and then they just threw it on an episode of Raw. This really feels like it was supposed to go for WrestleMania, but there's been a change of plans. But now that we know where we're heading for Fastlane, who wins? Drew McIntyre or Sheamus, Lou?
I think Drew McIntyre wins. I think that's pretty certain. I was kind of like umming and ahhing about maybe like Bobby costs him or Sheamus wins and you make that as the triple threat as opposed to the Universal title match. But I think Drew's got to win. You got to have Drew winning in terms of this big pay-per-view match on the road to WrestleMania. Yeah, I think Drew should and I think will win.
I want to go for Drew, but there's like something in the back of my head that is saying like Sheamus is gonna win here, because they have split victories kind of, with Sheamus winning the gauntlet match ahead of Elimination Chamber and then Drew beating him on Raw. but it just feels like Sheamus needs this more. And you could protect Drew by getting Bobby involved, Bobby getting revenge on Drew for the Claymore on Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, this is an interesting one, but I am going to agree with you, Lou. I do think that Drew McIntyre should win this one, so I am going to go with him to gain the victory. But yeah, it's not as predictable as a lot of people think, in my opinion, Lou.
Yeah, and kind of what you were saying, if Drew does lose, sort of Sheamus wins, do you then add Sheamus to the WWE title match?
You could, and that could be the triple threat, or you could do your option. Yeah, it's true.
It would feel weird to have Drew loses and then 2 weeks later is in the world title match if Sheamus isn't there. Like, if Sheamus is added, okay, I understand it. But if Sheamus isn't there, then I can't see you having Drew lose.
Yeah, I mean, Drew just getting this title match is a little bit off-putting because Drew McIntyre's whole character has been about working hard and, gaining every opportunity that he's gotten. And the fact that he was just, randomly at the start of Raw, they just say, Drew's versus Bobby at WrestleMania. Get ready, guys. It's like, no, you could have just honestly just done Drew versus Sheamus, the winner versus Bobby Lashley, to at least make it feel like Drew earned the opportunity. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about you, but this feels off-putting to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I said it perfectly. Got nothing to add.
We got John Elite on YouTube as well as Andrew. They think that Drew is going to beat Sheamus. Victor Nash with an interesting one. He says we need Keith Lee versus Riddle for a U.S. title at WrestleMania. What do you think about Riddle not being on the show, them putting Mustafa Ali versus Riddle on Raw this week?
I said that when the two title matches were announced on Raw last week, I was like, I bet we see one of them at Fastlane. So I'm pleasantly surprised that we haven't. And you know what? This is going to be a short show, which is good. We got 5 matches announced, possibly 6, possibly 5. We'll get on talking about that. But having Riddle defend it on Raw, I don't mind that because he'll be defending it at WrestleMania in 2-3 weeks. So I haven't got an issue with that at all.
Yes. And speaking of the match that we don't know is going to happen, we should bring it up now. I love how Louis is just setting up all my segues. This is why you're the best co-host possible.
I do that with Alex sometimes. Then he says to me after the show, he's like, I wasn't going to talk about that next, and you just segued to it, so I had to. And I was like, the Segway machine.
The Segway machine, another nickname for you. Mr. Good Money and the Segway.
Maybe merch. We should sell some of those Segway things with my face on them.
This guy is just thinking big business. He's an entrepreneur right now. But yes, we had a match that was announced on Monday Night Raw, but then it was removed from the listing on WWE.com following Slimegate on Raw. Yes, we are talking about Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman. I didn't even pull up the graphic for this matchup because it got pulled from the website, but what do you think? Do you think that this was actually going to happen at Fastlane? Do you think that we get some type of angle to set up for WrestleMania? What do you think is going to happen with Shane and Braun at Fastlane, Lou?
I don't really care. I was quite excited for the match initially because I'm like, you know what? It's going to be one of those Shane McMahon and The Miz matches that was better than it had any right to be and was actually quite good fun. It was just fun nonsense, and on a long show, it broke it up a bit. But I just they've sucked any interest I had out of this. And in terms of the match at Fastlane, do I think we see it? No. I think that they did the right call pulling it or seemingly pulling it. And then at WrestleMania, I think you might have a slime match, something like loser gets dunked in slime, or something like that. Similar to the Mimosa Mayhem match, but makes less sense. At least the Mimosa Mayhem match kind of made sense. It was still goofy as hell. Yeah. But it at least semi-made sense. The slime has just come out of nowhere. Orange Cassidy, Orange Juice has been his thing for ages. Orange, fine, cool. Jericho, Mimosa, Bubbly, that was dating back to a year. But this feels all right, let's do some slime. What feud can we put it in? The Shane and Braun one makes sense, so let's put it in there. It kind of feels artificial. But I think that I've seen some people kind of say, oh, maybe they could do like Shane, I guess, brings someone in to face Braun at WrestleMania, as in like this person will be fighting on my behalf, which could be like a cool way to debut like a big guy and have him take down Braun. That could be a cool idea. But if that happens, I don't know. I think we're just going to see like a singles between these two, which, you know what, I wouldn't be that opposed to. I still think it will be quite fun.
Yeah, I still think that Shane McMahon, does have something in him that people want to see him wrestle. People want to see what type of...
No, I don't want to see him wrestle. I want to see him throw himself off things.
Yeah, exactly. But people want to see what type of crazy thing he's gonna do in a wrestling ring or outside.
That's the problem. The people I think WWE thinks we like Shane matches because we think he's a good wrestler, and we think like, oh, look at that! It's so cool that Shane went toe to toe with AJ Styles. We're like, no, it's cool when Shane jumps off Hell in a Cell, and we're like, okay, that's pretty cool. But when we see him actually go like toe to toe with wrestlers, I've got no interest in that. So I think WWE has misplaced why we like Shane McMahon matches if we do.
But
because I just want to see him throw himself off things.
They tend to do that a lot when it comes to like misjudging how people react to things. They think if people are talking about it on Twitter, it's a success, even though people are like complaining. So it's
that thing. No publicity is bad publicity. Like if you are sitting there tweeting about Shane and Braun, like fair enough, you're getting eyes on the show. But I don't know how many casuals would be watching that and being like, all right, yeah, like I said this on the show that I did with Alex on Wrestling Daily. Would I have felt embarrassed if someone walked in when I was watching that with the slime stuff? Probably. It gets hard to defend when they're like, oh no, wrestling's fake. And you're like, yeah, it's fake, but like, or predetermined, but like, it's cool. Like you see these like death-defying stunts and these cool storylines. And then when they see stuff like that, you're like, okay, yeah, I see why to a casual this is slightly off-putting. So I get it.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. Louis, he's got some good takes. It's not all about the takes that get him heat. He has good analysis.
They go under the radar, though, the good takes.
Exactly. Only the bad takes get the publicity, but, no publicity is bad publicity, like you just said. So go follow Louis Dangoor on Twitter at the Louis Dangoor. He's got great content over there. He's always posting his articles on WrestleTalk.com, his appearances on WrestleTalk's YouTube channel, as well as Wrestling Daily. And of course, you can also go follow Wrestling Daily on Twitter. We got the Twitter page over there, always posting up new stuff from the show, so you can see what Louis Dangoor thinks about the latest in professional wrestling over there. But we also got to hear from you guys in the comments. We got our very own CM Chris from the Wrestling Daily community joining us, saying hello, SP3 and Louis. We got Heel Steven, a great YouTube channel, saying you're SP3. We got Uptown Avondale as well, another elite good egg, saying WWE isn't known for good ideas. And then Rick Ucchino, me and Rick Ucchino, we've been doing Smack Talk for like 3-4 weeks now, but I feel like we're creating some type of zen and some type of like kindred spirits, because I was thinking the same thing. When you brought up Shane McMahon bringing in someone to verse Braun, I was like, the return of Dabba-Kato?
But I didn't want to say, I don't want to put it out into the world. Like, I don't want to put it out there in case WWE watches this. It's like, that's a good idea. We didn't think about that. Because, like, okay, Omos, cool. Let's have Omos there. But I don't need Omos and Dabba-Kato on the same show when they're both going to be doing similar stuff. But I'm quite interested in the Omos stuff, but Dabba-Kato very much less so.
Yeah, Dabba-Kato did not leave me wanting to see him more. I was just fine that Raw Underground was over, honestly, when I stopped seeing him. But yes, that's exactly who I thought as well, Rick, when he said Shane McMahon would be bringing in someone to fight Braun Strowman. But we got to get to more matches on the card. We're going to talk about the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships matchup as the 2021 Royal Rumble winner, Bianca Belair, will team with the SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, to verse the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. These two teams, they first off at Elimination Chamber, with Nia and Shayna getting the victory. Reginald has been involved in this storyline, with Nia getting a little bit of affection for our sommelier, and him getting involved in the whole Sasha and Bianca feud has kind of went past the due date, in my opinion. But we are going to get one more matchup, even though Sasha and Bianca are 0-4 as a tag team. They get the WWE Women's Tag Team title shot here. Who do you think wins, Nia and Shayna, or Shayna versus Sasha and Bianca?
I will never ever say this again, but I want a no contest, because I do not want either team to win. Like, I think Nia and Shayna should be the champions. I don't want Sasha and Bianca to be the champions, but I don't want them to get pinned. So I literally think the only way out of this is a no contest. It's all I can see. It's all I can see. Because I really don't want either team to, I don't want Shayna and, I don't want Banks and Belair to get pinned, but I also don't want them to win the titles. I really don't. Unless, I don't know. I really don't know. I just, please no. Just please no. Just Reginald. Why has Reginald got involved? Because I think you and I said this before. After Mania, after the Rumble time, even before the Rumble, when we were all talking about Bianca's probably going to win, we're like, this could be a main event at WrestleMania. This could really do it. And then WWE has again zapped any enjoyment I had out of this feud with the whole Reginald involvement. It's got really frustrating to watch, and I just hope we don't see some more chaos on Sunday night.
I've been using basketball analogies lately, and my best one was with WCW, with Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade 97. They had themselves a layup, and then they walked themselves behind the 3-point line to the half-court line, to the other half of the court, and shot it from there, instead of right by the rim.
So I'm going to do that as a football analogy and see if I've got this right.
Yeah.
So they were on the goal line, about to score, but they kicked it the opposite direction and then tried to shoot from the halfway line.
Exactly. Okay. And
that's exactly what they've done. They had an open goal and they've missed.
And that's exactly what WWE is doing with Sasha and Bianca. We talked about this a little bit before we went live, talking about the great Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker match on AEW Dynamite. As they didn't even announce it as the first ever women's main event of Dynamite. They announced it as the first lights out matchup. And we know WWE is totally different. They would have said it was the first women's main event, ad nauseum, for the 2 hours before the match started. With WWE, they literally had the first ever women of color versing each other in the main event of WrestleMania at their fingertips. And they haven't even focused on it. They haven't even talked about it. They haven't even made this feel like a WrestleMania main event at all, Louis.
It's not even first women of color. Would it be first where both people are of color, regardless of gender?
Yeah.
It would have been so historic for a lot of people, and so important and impactful for a lot of people. But unfortunately, that's been chipped away. Where now I don't really think it warrants the main event slot. Yeah, unfortunately. And that's nothing against Bianca and Sasha, because they're just going to do what they're told to do. But it's poor, man. It's really, really poor.
We have a question here from Victor Nash. A question: do you guys only discuss WWE? Well, we just showed you right there. We watch AEW as well. Louis is talking about different stuff. He's even been dabbling in some Impact Wrestling. I've been hearing of him lately. So watch Wrestling Daily. Follow Wrestling Daily over on Twitter. We're always talking about that. Follow True Heel Heat, where we're always talking about New Japan, Impact Wrestling, AEW. We got to get Louis back on, because Louis was with us for a bit, but he didn't meet Top Guy JJ, so he didn't have a drink in his hand. So yeah, we got to get you back on for sure. But
anytime. But in terms of Victor's question, obviously we're going to be covering WWE when there's Fastlane this weekend. But I'm sure you did a show with Alex talking about Revolution as well.
Yes.
So I know you guys cover AEW very much, just as much as WWE.
Absolutely. Our good friends Jose and Victor, they do a post show following Dynamite and NXT on Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. So we got plenty of content. I'm sorry for getting to your question late, Victor. CM Chris said, so I've got Roman and Drew winning in the 2 matches you already done, and I've got Nia and Shayna winning here. So CM Chris with some pretty good predictions there. We also got Victor.
That's exactly what I've got as well, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you guys. Yeah, I think I already said, Roman and Drew winning, but I agree. I think Nia and Shayna is going to win the WWE Women's Tag Team title match. It's just like you said, it's going to be very interesting to see how they get the victory here.
Yeah, exactly.
Victor Nash says that's why you bring Keith Lee to replace him. I think he's talking about the person for Braun as Shane's representative.
That'd be cool.
I would not mind that. And Keith Lee and Braun, they had like the nice little big boy battle, but it was entertaining. So I'd be all for that. So I wouldn't mind that at all, Victor. But we got 2 more matches to cover. First up, Intercontinental Championship matchup. Honestly, Louis, I feel like this has been one of the better feuds build up to Fastlane, as we're going to have Big E defending the Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews. These guys started off as friends, firsting over the Intercontinental Championship, with Big E coming out victorious each time. Apollo Crews got more and more frustrated, especially after Big E told him to go to the back of the line and back to catering. Apollo Crews started embracing his Nigerian heritage. He comes from Nigerian wealth and completely has changed his character, added new music. He comes out with this very elegant scarf. He comes out with his own armed Nigerian security, the army from Nigeria. He's got a spear in hand. He is very much in the vein of Nigerian wealth that, people that I've spoken to, this was a very polarizing and controversial change of character the first week. But I said on even the first week on Smack Talk that he did the character very well. Regardless of how you feel or if you're offended by the character, Apollo Crews is performing that character very well. So I think he's doing a great job. He's been doing good promos. The accent wasn't really good the first time because he wasn't able to keep it throughout the promo and it was breaking up, but he has got better as weeks progress. But who wins here? This very important match for the Intercontinental Championship, Big E versus Apollo Crews, Louis.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm so torn. Part of me is like, Apollo wins because he's got the momentum. He's got the new gimmick. Run with him. Whereas another part of me is like, no, they're doing something good with Big E. And he hasn't had really a long reign to keep it on him. So I'm really torn. And I don't think I'd actually be opposed to either. But I do think whatever happens, we'll see this again at WrestleMania in 2 weeks.
I agree with you. Definitely the latter part there. And I am going to go with Apollo Crews to win the Intercontinental Championship here. Although everyone knows I'm a huge Big E fan. I was one of the people that said Big E should have won the Royal Rumble to verse Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But, in retrospect, that was probably a little bit too soon. Maybe WrestleMania, 38 is the better spot for Big E to get that opportunity. But I've been really enjoying this rivalry. I've said it before. I'll say it here. This is probably the second best thing going on in WWE right now. Outside of Roman and the Tribal Chief, it's Apollo and Big E, especially Big E's promo on SmackDown last week was probably his best promo of his career. He had fire, he had passion, his eyes, he was like breathing heavy, he had the emotional. It just resonated with me so much. And that's the main event Big E right there. Like Big E, when he's angry and he's focused on somebody, that's the guy that can main event a WrestleMania. So that's the guy that I want to see in this match. But I do think that the right move here is for Apollo Crews to win the title. He's got a new character. He's already failed against Big E multiple times. This seems like the spot for him to win the title here to set up the rematch at WrestleMania.
I could see it. I could see it as well. Like, it's very difficult and it's not a bad thing as well, like where I think both can win because it's not predictable and that's good. I'll be watching this match with genuine intrigue, not knowing where the finish is coming because I genuinely don't know who's going to win. And that's quite a nice thing in wrestling, to not know especially when we cover what we cover and we've seen a lot of matches, especially you. I know you've seen more matches than anyone. Things start to get a bit predictable. So when there's a match that isn't predictable, it's very enjoyable. So yeah, I'm on board with this.
Yes, I am all for it. It's probably the match I'm most interested in going into Sunday.
It's probably going to be a good match as well.
For sure. John Elite says Apollo as new IC champion. He also says we got a reverse Kofi with the new Apollo Crews. Kartik Ari says hyped for the IC title feud. Big E and Apollo have a level intensity that hasn't been seen in the IC title picture for a while. Yes, I would say probably this is the IC title feud that has kind of resonated with fans the most since Miz and Dolph in 2016. That's probably the last one that I remember like really being into like this. That was the last one. I mean, Seth's like run as the Intercontinental champion was good in 2018, but I wouldn't say that him and Dolph Ziggler's feud, which was his best feud of his reign, I was as into that as I am into this.
I'd probably agree. I'd probably agree.
And
I was kind of into the Sami Zayn stuff at the beginning when he was like, the ladder match was great. Like that was good. But yeah, in terms of this, I'm very much into it. The IC title feels important again, which is good.
Yeah, I agree. Like Sami Zayn, he was great as the Intercontinental champion, the whole conspiracy theory and stuff, but he never really got that feud that like this. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from there. We got on YouTube, Andrew says Apollo new IC champ very soon. If not at Fastlane, WrestleMania, he is winning that IC belt.
Well, I hope that he wins it here if he is going to win it. So then he's not like losing and then winning. That kind of like devalues his momentum. I hope if he wins, they just give it to him now, and then Big E can like maybe he cheats to win or something like that, and then Big E can help him. Big E can sort of like get the title shot back at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I would like to see that. So we got one more match to talk about, Louis, and it's the big one. It's the big one. Yes, I am talking about, for the first time, I was looking up this information. For the first time in nearly a decade, an intergender one-on-one matchup on WWE pay-per-view. Yes, we are talking about Bliss versus Orton, the rivalry that has been building for months. We have seen fire. We've seen a fireball. We've seen black goo being thrown up by people. We've seen two Ortons. We've seen multiple faces of Bliss. We've seen hexes and curses being done. This has been the most outrageous storyline that Randy Orton has been a part of, which says a lot because Randy Orton has been a part of ridiculous storylines. But this is the most ridiculous. But what happens in this big showdown, Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss at Fastlane?
No contest, I think. I think no contest. I don't know what's going to happen, but is it even going to be a match or just like a fight? I don't know, but I just don't think it's going to have a finish. And I do think we will see the Fiend back on Sunday.
That is a good prediction there. I would like to see Randy Orton, work a chin lock on Alexa Bliss, because I'm sure the picture of that would get no reaction on Twitter. I'm sure it would get no reaction on Twitter. I mean, this is like, I understood Sasha versus the sommelier Reginald. I understand stuff like that. I even understood when WWE was thinking about doing Jon Moxley versus Nia Jax. I'll think about that match now. With Jon Moxley and AEW versus Nia Jax. But that's a whole nother story. But Orton and Alexa Bliss, we know that this is all a part of the bigger story going on between Orton and The Fiend. So, yes, I agree with you. This is the match I will predict no contest for. I'm pretty sure, Louis, though, you have almost predicted or slightly predicted 3 of these 5 matches to be a no contest. But this is the one.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. Would you be shocked? Would you be shocked?
No, not at all. Not at all. After the build-up that we've seen to WrestleMania and the build-up for this match, this is the one match I'm pretty sure, the no contest is the most likely scenario. Got CM Chris on YouTube saying, I have no clue about this match. This will be a cinematic match and the Fiend reappears. I agree with Louis. I think this is going to see the return of the Fiend, and this is going to set up the Fiend versus Randy Orton for WrestleMania. What match type do you think the Fiend and Orton will be at WrestleMania, Louis?
I hope Firefly Funhouse. I think that could work. So yeah, I'd go with Firefly Funhouse probably. Don't know how that works when you got fans there, but I think you can have that as like an intermission thing, and there are like screens in the stadium, so people going to get food or whatever can still watch it. I'd probably go for that.
So, and do you believe what one Randy Orton inside joke do you want to see in the Firefly Funhouse?
Something about a dump in a bag. Something.
Do you think that we get like a fake hand with like a Sean Ross Sapp dildo like holding it or something? Like,
I don't know about that. There'll be some references to drugs test failed like wellness policy stuff. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, they set the bar very high last year. So with Randy Orton,
but like nothing was not incriminating, but nothing was like bad. It was like Cena and Nikki Bella, where we're like, all right, like we all know what's going on. Like I'm interested nonetheless. It's going to be very exciting. Hopefully.
No matter what, it is going to be interesting for sure. We got John Elite saying, bold prediction. It starts as Alexa versus Randy. Then either the Fiend returns or Randy versus Evil Randy.
Probably.
That's the content we all want to see, right?
It's the content none of us want to see.
Kartik says they might have a couple of cinematic elements for Bliss versus Orton. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to probably have to be some type of cinematic match. If it's in the ring, we know how it's gonna be. It's gonna kind of be into a no contest. They're gonna stall for a while, then the Fiend comes out. So I think the cinematic elements might make it a little bit more enjoyable. And since there's only 5 matches on the card, this needs to go a little bit of time. So I could see that being the best way that it could work. And then Victor, why he asked us if we only discuss WWE, he says, what's your thoughts on Impact's champion Rich Swann versus AEW champion Kenny Omega, title versus title at Rebellion? And so, Louis, I'll ask you this. What's your thoughts on the main event for Rebellion?
It should be good. I think it's pretty obvious who's winning, though.
Yeah. Then that's why I didn't get why there was some like very staunch Impact fans or Moose fans that were upset that Moose didn't win as Sacrifice. I'm like, whoever won this match is going to lose to Kenny at Rebellion. So it makes sense for it to be Rich. So Moose can eventually be the guy that beats Omega to bring back the Impact.
Ooh, do you think?
Yes, I think that's the big picture. Moose is the Hangman Page. Hangman Page is that guy in AEW. Moose is that guy in Impact Wrestling. I think that's why they inserted him at Hard to Kill, where they showed that he dominated Omega in that matchup. And I think that's why they had him lose here and they protected him very well against Rich.
No, I wouldn't complain. I think that's good. Moose has shown me a lot over the last couple of months where like he looks really good. So yeah, I'd be on board with it if they do it in a way that doesn't devalue Omega. Yeah, I'd very much like that.
Absolutely. But you guys watching, we want to thank you for watching our WWE Fastlane preview and predictions. Of course, once again, go out of your way to go follow the Louis Dangoor. He does great content on WrestleTalk.com, WrestleTalk YouTube channel, and Wrestling Daily YouTube channel. Louis, please let them know anything else you got going on this weekend or anywhere else they can find you.
Yeah, I'm just at the Louis Dangoor on Twitter, as is down there, and I am also Wrestling Daily on YouTube. We have a very fun, fan-driven show, so check that out there. You are perfect with your plugs. So yeah, 8 p.m. UK time. So hopefully we'll see you all there tonight. It's going to be Stephanie Chase and Alex McCarthy talking the biggest news in pro wrestling. So it should be good fun.
And if you know Steph, Victor, I know you want to ask about non-WWE stuff. Steph is your girl. So watch Wrestling Daily. Go ahead and give them a follow on Twitter. You can also go over on Twitter and follow me, True Heel SP3. I've been having a very busy week this week. I was on Quizzlemania. We have Louis here, a former Quizzlemania champion. I made my debut. How did I do?
You did very well. I messaged you privately and said you did very, very well.
Thank you, Louis.
You did us proud on Wrestling Daily.
I have to come back, and I hope it's an all Wrestling Daily episode, because that would be the stiffest competition for sure. But yes, go over to Wrestling Daily. I'm on there on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. BST. But you can also go ahead and subscribe to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. BST. I'm going to be with Rick Ucchino of Sports Keto Wrestling as our special guest. We're going to have Miss Chrissy Love on the show, as well as it's a morning time on a Saturday, but you know he's going to have drinks. Top Guy JJ. So bring your brunch drinks ready for True Heel Heat 117, as we're going to preview WWE Fastlane, as well as talk about Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker and everything going on in the wrestling world. But of course, you are here on the Sports Keto Wrestling YouTube channel, as well as social media. So if you haven't already, like on Facebook, drop us a heart emoji, a laugh emoji, tag a friend, interact with others on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on YouTube. Drop us a like, subscribe to the Sports Keto Wrestling YouTube channel, because I'm going to be back here tonight with Rick Ucchino, immediately following SmackDown, a new episode of Smack Talk, as we're going to be reviewing the go home show to WWE Fastlane. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So once again, I want to thank my esteemed colleague, Louis Dangoor of Wrestling Daily. Thank you so much for joining me on the Sports Keto Wrestling WWE Fastlane Preview. Any final thoughts?
Just enjoy the show, everyone, and thank you very much for having me on, man.
Of course, we're going to definitely have you on once again for sure. So for Louis Dangoor, it is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. This has been the Sports Keto Wrestling WWE Fastlane Preview and Predictions. We are signing off until next time. Bye!